Hell. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the zoo. I am the Rusty Panda, and I am here for you. Today we've got Fenwa in the house. It's Wiki Wednesday,
Hi.
y'all. I'm so excited to have you on here.
Me too. Well, to be on here, not to have me on. You know what I mean. Me too.
I'm excited to have me on here. All right, sweet. Well, for those of you who don't know Wiki Wednesday, basically what we do is we ask the streamer 15 likes and 5 dislikes, and then we use that to go down the Wikipedia rabbit hole to go ahead and find some things that are new and really get to know the streamer that way. So I got some good stuff here. Um, let's see. Oh, we can see. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait, I have to. You have Bernie in the background, and I want to make sure we can see Bernie. So hold on.
Oh, Bernard.
As he's known as. Where is he? Oh, he's all the way in the closet. Hold on. I'll just show him for a second then.
Perfect.
He's lurking.
Hmm.
I absolutely love it. I wanna get him in the scene, but I don't wanna have to stretch that far. It's okay. We've all seen him. We'll come back to that. Okay. So, first thing that we have up on the screen is good old Pedro Pascal.
Ooh.
So yes, so I know him from I know him from a few things, but I know that you have a love for Pedro Pascal, and I was
Yeah.
curious what exactly you liked about him, what makes you so enthralled with him and his performances. I'm not going to say like him as a person, but maybe him as a person.
Well, I mean, because him as a person is part of it. I think, in an age where there really is no privacy when it comes to celebrities' lives and finding out, are they actually a good person? And what struck me, I think, about Pedro Pascal, like the more he was thrust into the limelight because of his roles in The Mandalorian and then The Last of Us, is it like, oh shit, he's like Keanu Reeves. He's nice. He's
Right.
kind to fans. He's kind to people, and like he's a good person morally. So I was like, oh damn, that's really I never really noticed that about him, and it's strange because I've been watching things with him in it most of my life. Um, if you're ever in my stream, I'm obsessed with Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV show,
Mm-hmm.
and he was even in that for one episode. But um, really, it was like watching The Mandalorian, seeing him in Game of Thrones, which I'm a huge fan of the books, Song of Ice and Fire series, and seeing him bring that role to life like so well. I was like, I always remember when he's getting ready to fight the Mountain, uh, and as the Viper, and oh, it was just so funny because I was watching it with my brother, and I knew what was about to happen, and he didn't. It was the same with the Red Wedding, and, like, I could see it in his eyes that he thought that Pedro had a chance to beat the Mountain towards the end, and that he had won. He's like, "It's obvious. He's done. He's finished. He's dead." And then, of course, content warning,
Yeah.
he gets his, head exploded. So but just like seeing him in so many things and then watching the interviews ever since The Mandalorian and in particular The Last of Us, like that press circuit he did, and it was just so damn funny. And like the there's something to be said about not objectifying celebrities and making them uncomfortable in interviews, but I feel like even when he is uncomfortable, he's really rolled with it in a way that is, I don't know, endearing and enjoyable to see. And I mean, he's a daddy and a baby girl, and those are his words. And
Yeah.
he's your slutty uncle. So it's like I don't know. He just really, I was like, this is good. It was good entertainment.
If he was there right now in front of you, you went to some sort of con and he was there in front of you, what would you say?
Oh, oh no. Um, I have a problem when I meet, celebrities that I actually admire because I just wanna, like, get my 2 cents out about, like, "Hey, like, like, I don't wanna freak you out or anything." But I think I would just tell him that I really appreciate his work, and it's, like, spanned most of my life watching him, and that it's great to see that he's an authentic, good person, and, congratulations, I think is what I would say, because we are in your renaissance, for heck's sake. Yeah, what's up,
Hi, Bazaar. Yeah, so I saw in here 100 most influential people in the world, which is
Wicked.
amazing. Um, we had said that he's 48, and so we were surprised at that, but not sad at that because you said he's a slutty uncle, and he's got to be of
Yeah.
a certain age to be a slutty uncle.
Yes. And it really is cool when you like an actor and you get to see them in a renaissance period of their career. So and shit, I mean, The Last of Us got nominated for what, like 12 Emmys or something like that? So, I don't know. I think he's got a lot of great things ahead of him still, which, is a rarity, I imagine, for someone who's had that long of a career.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Series averaged 32 million viewers per episode and is renewed for a second season.
Oh, yeah.
That's great. That's awesome. I want to find out how the ratings. Here we go. Um, Awards and nominations. So, Last of Us led the 2023 Music Awards with 3 wins, including Best Show, Program of the Year, Individual Achievement for Drama for Pascal and Ramsey. It received 5 nominations at the Emmy Awards and 19 in the Creative Arts Emmy Awards, and the first live action video game adaptation to receive major awards consideration. So that's amazing.
Absolutely. Especially, like, being part of that generation that saw so many bad video game adaptations to TV and movie,
Mm-hmm.
um, which I still haven't played The Last of Us 2. I need to, obviously. I haven't had a PlayStation in, like, a decade, but because 'cause I'm just curious to see, like, because season 1 was the first game,
Right.
and from what I recall, I played it a couple times when it came out. Such a damn good game. So it's like most of that was shot for shot, scene for scene, just straight out of the video game, which is really wonderful to see when that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the writers and the director like really showing a lot of respect to the source material, even though it's a video game, which I
Right.
really liked.
Yeah, not taking too many artistic liberties as far as, straying too far from the game,
Yes.
but staying true to the game itself. I definitely think.
Yes.
Yes, 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 yes.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
So with with Pedro, what would you say would be your? I don't know if you're putting him as your numero uno as far as favorites. Okay, there we go. Your
Like
numero.
actors,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But give me your top three.
top 3 favorite? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
geez. Oh, wow. That's really, a hard one. Because I would have to go for, like, current, like, right now. Like, probably Florence Pugh,
Okay.
who's been in a lot of horror and was, you know, recently was in Marvel as one of the members of that oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the name of the assassins, but the group that Black Widow is part of. Um And geez, I gotta go with Nicolas Cage too, because he's like I've been watching his movies my whole life, like, literally, and that's another actor where it's like one thing about Nicolas Cage is that, yes, you will see some movies that are not good with him in it, because he doesn't say no. Um, but I think we're also in kind of a renaissance period for him where he's getting a lot of great roles, and also he has multiple castles and he owns a bunch of ravens. So it's like he is so goth,
Yeah.
surprisingly.
Now, is Nicolas Cage the one who's getting a piece of Dead by Daylight? Is that him or is that.
Yes, it's really interesting. He's getting brought in as a survivor, and for his outfits, it's like only from interviews and red carpet appearances. So it's like those are the outfits, which is kind of I don't know. That's a I would be satisfied if I was Nick
Yeah.
Cage, I imagine, with that partnership. Sounds fun.
I think they said that his son was a really big Dead by Daylight fan,
Huh.
and that's how he got interested in it.
Dead by Daylight's fun for me, but it's like I could only play it once every year, I feel like, just because it's I don't know. It's a lot of people love that game, and I get it. It can be fun, especially if you have like a group of friends that are playing it.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I'm like, wait, so there's no story? All right,
You just do
you
the
know.
same thing over and over again?
I just get on a generator and then I complain on Twitter about how toxic the killers are, even though they're just using the mechanics of the game. Anytime I see a post about that, I'm like, wait, are you mad that they're like good? Are you mad that they're using perks? Are you mad? I'm not getting it. I feel like you're just getting beat and you're upset about it and trying to manufacture some reason beyond the fact that they're just beating you. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's like it's like the age-old, like, "PC hacker, man. They're hacking." It's like, "Are they? Or are they just a 13-year-old on summer break?"
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, games like that can get really sweaty. Um,
Yes.
and, friends can turn on each other. And it's funny to watch in ways because you just watch the complete breakdown of a team where they're like, yeah, we're going into this, we're going into this. And then by the end, they're just like, you didn't get your generator and you blah, blah,
Oh,
blah. And you're just like, oh my God.
uh, the first time I got on generators, I was so stressed out. I was like, "Why is the window so small for getting it?"
Right.
And I was playing with the keyboard, and I was just, like, not doing well. I was not doing well at all. I can be, honest about that. I was not good at the game.
Yeah.
Uh, is what it is.
No, I mean, I was the same way. For a while, I was playing it, but I just felt like stressed. I don't like games that
Yeah.
stress me out. Like, we need to see some FenGen action now.
Beta, no. Hi, Beta.
Thank you for the follow, Beta. Um, so yeah, so I think that the fact that he's going to be in this game will be very interesting, but I
Oh,
don't think
yeah.
that'll make me play it anymore.
Well, it was funny because Beta and I, or as a Beta in the chat, were even talking about this. It's like, I'm kind of surprised. They should have done both. They should have brought him in as Dracula for the killer and Nicolas Cage as a survivor. Is kind of like where we landed. It's like, I wonder what that kind of licensing deal is, though, for them, how much that costs. They're clearly not as good at it as Fortnite, but
We're
is
gonna get to
anybody?
that. Yeah, 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 yeah. So I was gonna go. Speaking of video games, that was gonna be my segue.
Ah,
Let's
it's a
talk
good
about
segue.
Fortnite. Let's. That's not how I wanted to spell Fortnite. Let's try that again. Fortnite. There we go. Cool, cool, cool. Nick Cage needs to be the killer and survivor. If he ain't get killer,
Yeah.
then Nick Cage is Nick Cage. Then it's a bust.
Right? Ah, that would be
Nick
that would make great
Cageception.
content. Yes. Think about all the content that would create, like people just getting like Nick Cage, yeah. Nick Cage sucking Nick Cage dry. TOS. But
Yeah, it could be.
as Dracula,
Yeah.
of course. Not sexual.
No.
Meme threat level midnight. Yes.
So let's talk about Fortnite. What what brings you to Fortnite? You haven't always played this. I think this was pretty recent, wasn't it?
Yeah. Still kind of less than a year, I'd say. So I am not a PvP gamer. I mean, that explains why I don't really play DBD as well. Just because, like, I I have this experience that I always think about, and it was when Halo 2 first introduced online multiplayer, which back then was one of the first times. I think that was the first console game to do that. on Xbox anyway. And I always remember because there was no, like, limitation on who heard what, so everybody in the match, even if it was a 30-player death match, right, you could hear each other. And I'll always remember I was getting worked, like, so hard by this, like, one guy who was, like, probably younger than me, and just was, like, openly mocking you for whatever you were trying to do. Like, if you came at him with a plasma pistol, he'd be like, "Oh, I see your plasma pistol. Alright, good, good," and would just, like, waste you, and, like, no matter what I did, I didn't kill him once, and it, like, scarred me. Um, but really, I think it's just I like playing games that are enjoyable for me, and I love RPGs that are, like, really open world, where I can really get lost in the story, and right now we live in such a great age for that
Yeah.
when it comes to, like, all the Bethesda titles, The Witcher, Cyberpunk, games like that. Uh, but I was just kind of in a game hole. I didn't have anything to do, and I just finally my friend Beta and other people were just talking about Fortnite, and I was like, "I should give it a shot." And it's so, like, goofy, and parts of it, for some reason, kind of reduce the stress for me because it's funny, and because how can you get mad when somebody, like, kills you and then does the Ghostbusters dance and they're, you know, and they're like their skin is like Goku, and you're like, "I just got killed by Goku, and now he's doing the Ghostbusters dance." I can't really get mad about that.
Right.
Like and it's not as sweaty as, like, other PvP games or, oh, geez, what am I trying to think of? That style of PvP. I'm blanking on words
Um,
today.
yeah, no, it's fine.
Battle
Battle
Royale, Battle
Royale.
Royale.
That was
Yeah,
it.
because 'cause I'd done that with Fallout 76, but the only reason I did it with Fallout was so I could get outfits, honestly, and I don't know, Fortnite's just fun, and it's always changing, new weapons are being introduced, like, one time, it's like the Kamehameha from Dragon Ball Z was in with
Hmm.
the Nimbus Cloud, and so were lightsabers from Star Wars, and so was the Deku Smash from My Hero Academia, and I'm running around as Gambit from X-Men, and I'm like, "This is
Chaos. Yeah.
insane, like, this is so wild." Um, and, it's like as soon as something gets boring, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. So, it's, like, as far as I'm willing to go into stressful gaming, and sometimes, though, I'm like, "I gotta stop playing because like,
Yeah.
if I get worked too much on, like, a Saturday afternoon, I'm like, "Nope.
It's not
This
worth
is
it.
this ain't it today. Mm-mm."
Yeah, no. Do you do, what is it, build mode or not build mode?
I do 0 build typically,
Okay.
which I know I have some friends who are like, "Oh, I'm never gonna do that. Like, I'm gonna play it the way it was meant to be played." I'm like, "It's a video game.
Right.
Settle down." It's, I'm just not, like, fast enough, I think, for build mode as far as, like, when I'm watching people, I'm like, "You gotta be so young, and you have to have a keyboard in front of you. How are you doing this?"
Right.
Like, when they're just, like, building mansions around you, uh, I don't know what else to say. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna go to 0 build. It's a little more chill."
Well, that's awesome. Now, where do you play it on? What system?
I have it on PC, but typically I just play it on Xbox. I'm a console
Yeah.
person, and even if I'm playing on PC, I want a controller, even if it makes me less accurate. I don't really mind because it's just comfortable, I
Yep.
would say.
Yep. Yep. I always keep a controller at my keyboard because that's that's just how I play. Like Diablo 4 is out,
Ooh,
and
yeah.
I even play that on controller, but on the PC.
Yeah, that's what I do. It actually, like, I get kind of an I don't wanna, like, not annoyed enough to make a tweet about it, but almost there when I play a game and I'm like, "Whoa, this doesn't have controller support? Like,
Right.
what's the deal? Because 'Cause I'm trying to watch my posture even though I have terrible gamer posture."
Oh, that's funny. Okay, so we've got Fortnite, we have Last of Us. What is there a game on the horizon that you're looking forward to?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah?
Well, there's 2. One's just a DLC, but I'm a Bethesda fan. I've always loved their games for their storytelling, their world building, and the features, i.e., bugs. But Starfield, I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Phantom Liberty DLC for Cyberpunk comes out on the same day
Oh
as Starfield.
boy.
So yeah, it's like, uh oh, uh
Bye
oh.
time.
Yeah, bye everybody I know ever. I'll see you in 3 months.
If I remember correctly, Starfield is the game that my husband is really excited about. He's in chat and he'll tell me. But I think this is the one that he was looking forward to. Um,
Last year even, because this got pushed back a whole year,
mm-hmm.
which is smart given Bethesda's track record with releases, with ESO and Fallout 76
Right.
really needing a lot of work when they got released. And because I remember a lot of us, because it got pushed back like 3 times last year. And then when the September date was coming around, everybody's like, okay. And they're like, we're gonna push it another year. I was like, okay, I can deal with this, I guess. Like, but I don't know. I think that was a smart move, and that also gave Beth Microsoft a chance to come in and I imagine help with some quality assurance.
Right.
Because Bethesda is just notorious for leaving bugs in their game where you're like, really? Nobody, you
Nobody
didn't
saw
think about,
this.
like, you don't want to fix it, and then some college student fixes it in a week and puts it up on Nexus, and you're like, hire this person first of all, and second of all, come put a. Ever heard of a patch, a hot fix? Come on, it's it's all right. We love Bethesda. It's okay.
Now, do they mostly do, from your knowledge, video games that have big stories? Is that their niche or niche
Well,
niche?
Bethesda originally started as ZeniMax, and it's so funny when sometimes people are like, "Those are," it's the same company.
Yeah.
It's just like a subdivision for some reason that they created, maybe for taxation purposes. I
Yeah.
don't know,
99, it
but
became a subsidiary of ZeniMax Media.
yes.
Yes.
So I don't. Sometimes when they release smaller games, like Deathloop, for example, they release it through like subsidiaries now that they own, like Arcane Studios is another one of their subsidiaries that releases smaller games, and sometimes ZeniMax. For example, ZeniMax released Elder Scrolls Online. So it's interesting because sometimes, yeah, they have smaller games that I don't even. I'm like, oh, that was a Bethesda game, like Ghostwire Tokyo, another
Right.
one.
Right.
I was like, oh shit, and hell, they came out with that as a Sony exclusive. Um, that was, of course, before the Microsoft acquisition,
Right.
which has made things pretty interesting. And it's funny watching Sony players get all upset. I'm like, listen, Sony players, I've had to deal with so many great Sony exclusives in the last 8 years, like all the best games.
Yeah.
Um, it's like, oh, Microsoft got, oh, we got Sea of Thieves.
We've got
That
Forza.
that was about it. It's like, woo.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't, I've never, except for the PlayStation 1 and 2, I've never really had one of the heavy duty PlayStations.
I had a PS3, and
Hmm.
then it was my brother Meet Popsicle who was just like, get an Xbox so we can play together. And I was like, but PlayStation's better. And he convinced me, and so I've been on Xbox and sometimes PC. It really, but now I have a Series X, and it runs better than my PC runs
Right.
games. So I'm like, um, so mostly Xbox stuff.
Yeah, we have two Xbox Ones in the house, and soon they're not going to be creating content that is applicable for Xbox One, and we're like, shit, 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 shit.
Yeah, I we keep ours around as Blu-ray players, and for playing Hulu and Netflix and shit.
Right, exactly. Oh man. Well, okay, so tell me about Fallout 76 and Fallout in general. Because
Oh.
I know that you have connections with Fallout in general with your music, right? So you've been playing a lot of music from the Fallout series. And so, just curious as far as what got you into that.
I mean, really, it was playing, like, Oblivion was the first Elder Scrolls that I really played,
Mhm.
and then Fallout 3, and those came out around the same time, so it was just like, "Oh," they were 2 of the only open world games. One was high fantasy and one was, post-apocalyptic survival, ghouls or zombies, you know what I mean? So
Right,
it's
right.
like, you had all these elements to it where it's like, "Oh, this is so great." And of course, excellent storyline. And in Fallout 3, it's like Liam Neeson was a voice actor, and you're like, "What?" Um, but, then then Skyrim came out, then Fallout 4 came out, which are 2 of my favorite games forever and ever because they're just great open world games, great storylines. It's like I could keep saying it. And they both have music is a big part, right?
Mhm.
Like when you're exploring Skyrim, everywhere you go, there's bards playing, and also the soundtrack by Jeremy Soule is just so good. And then Fallout usually has their soundtracks made by a guy named Enon Zur,
Mhm.
who's super talented as well. And it was just interesting, like playing these Fallouts and hearing music that my grandparents had shown me, or that I'm like, oh, I know that song. I know
Yeah.
Peggy Lee.
Mhm.
And of course, playing like New Vegas, Fallout 4, Fallout 3, and all this great music that I'd been exposed to through my family, be like, oh, that's so cool. And fast forward when COVID happened and I was looking for something to do with music online, and a couple friends had kind of convinced me to use Twitch. I was like, how do I, like, what should I do here? Like, I'm not, at that point, I didn't really have a large catalog of songs. I was starting over again in a lot of ways as a musician. And I was like, it would be fun to just, I don't know, maybe learn some Fallout songs and do that for a second. And at first, I remember my first stream on my channel, I only knew 10 songs. I streamed for 35 minutes. I played all the songs. I was like, well, all right. And then I just kind of was like, oh, how can I take this further? And for a while, I started, cosplaying at first just as like somebody with a transatlantic accent, like I was a radio host. And then I started cosplaying as the Silver Shroud. And when I was starting to do that and releasing content, I got some voice acting opportunities, all like amateur stuff with various podcasts. One's called Chat, a Fallout 76 story podcast, which is a lot of fun. It's great. The production value is crazy. The writer, Kenneth Figure, always writes really great stories. And strangely, it's like that got like they were already noticed by Bethesda and had already gone there for Bethesda Game Days in 2019. Um, and by the time I came on the scene, we're deep into the pandemic, but uh, some of the people that were like community managers had been voice actors, and so had some of the voice actors who worked for Bethesda. And it was a strange kind of surreal moments that I had where I got to meet Wes Johnson, who is the voice actor of the Silver Shroud,
Wow.
um, Sheogorath, Hermaeus Mora, all the Protectrons in the Fallout video game series, and does many, many more voices. He's very cool, very nice, and that just making that sort of content, I got picked as the community spotlight one November. I think, Jesus, this is 2021, I think. And it was really amazing. I got to stream on Bethesda's channel a couple times and
Wow.
even played music there, and it was just a lot of fun, and it was something I never thought would happen, and that's one of the reasons I really like performing on Twitch is that it affords you opportunities that, if I was just playing in some random coffee shop all the time playing, like, songs from Fallout, nobody would know what I was doing.
Right.
Um, so yeah, that was a long way to talk about it, but yeah, that's how all that happened, which has been a very, very fun experience, and the podcast is still going, but, the storyline is gonna kinda come to a close when it comes to Fallout 76, And the next big project by this group of people that I work with is going to be a Starfield podcast.
Great.
Um, yes. Yeah.
That's great. That's an awesome. That's a great story. That's I didn't know that. Um, I
It
always
was
just
very
thought you
cool.
liked it because of the video game. You were just like, I like this video game. I'm just gonna play this, and then I thought that was that. Like I didn't realize you got into voice acting with them and all that other stuff.
Oh yeah, and that's something I want to keep pursuing, but it's just only so much time in the day, I suppose.
Right. Um. Okay, so we're gonna continue talking about music here for a second. So, um,
Okay.
your genre of choice seems, you even say it. What was your thing today? Mildly folk or something? Something as folk. Moody as folk was your last
Yeah.
title of your stream, and so I'm thinking that folk and blues are really your genre of choice. Is Would you say that's correct?
Um, yeah, it was like I growing up, I've been playing music since I was in like second grade. And but when I was in bands and whatnot growing up, we were always very heavy metal. And but getting back into music as a solo artist and knowing that I'm going to be doing acoustic, it was really kind of I hadn't played in about 10 years and I was trying to find my voice again, trying to find my style and way of playing again. And over time, I realized like I like singing with rock and blues type vocals, but I really love the storytelling and the cadences of folk music. And really, blues is folk and is rock.
Right.
So it kind of all comes together in a way for me that's also inspired by like the metal and rock influences I had growing up in the early to late 90s. And I don't know, it's and if you go on my song list, if you ever go to my stream, you'll see that I have things from every genre,
Yep.
but I like to try to being an acoustic guitarist, I think folk is, trying to play with blues and folk rhythms and strumming patterns really for me is like my comfort zone. I think when it comes to how I sing and how I play. And some of my favorite artists are like stretch the bounds, I suppose, of folk as a genre, but a lot of my favorite musicians are folk, blues folk, rock folk, etc. All kind of
Mixed in.
yeah.
So okay, give me an example of one of those bands or singers.
Oh, well, so for example, kind of in this last year, I got back into a folk musician that I really liked growing up, and I found myself wanting to play a lot of his music again, is Damien Rice, who is an
Yes.
Irish folk musician. I like to call him emo folk, but some of my friends are like, "That's impossible." I'm like, I know he's not actually emo,
Right, right.
but it's like, but that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, folk, indie rock, folk rock.
Yeah.
Age 49. You're really.
Oh, what's up with this? I have a thing for older men about to turn 50.
That's great. Okay, so and wow, and the years active are the same too. Pedro Pascal was also 1991.
Huh.
Um, okay, so Damien Rice, right? I remember the Blower's Daughter. I remember that in 2001. Which is just such a good song. Um, what are the like few songs that you really love singing from him?
When I'm upset, I like singing the song Rootless Tree because it's very like cathartic. Um, can we cuss on this channel?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Okay, because like the chorus starts with fuck you," and I'm like, "Uh-huh, uh-huh." Um, I really like singing Nine Crimes and Volcano, but I mean, I could just go on because as far as like songwriters, I really love the way he writes as a folk artist, but also being somebody who has a simpler sound myself, like when I play live, it's always just me at the moment. Like I want to form a band, but I also like being an acoustic, like indie artist, which probably is the least popular, like least sought after type of musician. But oops, um, I just that's what I like doing. And when I listen to his live performances, I'm like, here's a guy typically playing these huge arenas and it's just him, or just him and maybe uh, a trio of like a cello, a violin, and a piano.
Right.
And that's it's I think when you're an artist of any sort of medium and you see somebody doing what you want to do on a scale that you can't imagine doing it at that scale, that like people would want to hear it, but they do. And it kinda gives you a little bit of hope when you're having those moments where you're like, "Ah, gosh, does anybody wanna fucking hear this acoustic song where I'm gonna whistle in the bridge?" Like,
Right.
and you get to see that, and he's always been a source of, as far as, like, getting back out there, he's one of my sources of inspiration and drive to keep just pushing and going.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely love Damien Rice. Definitely helped me get into some folk concepts in the very beginning. Like this came out in 2000. What do you say? It came out in 2001.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was like pivotal for me as far as.
I think I got, see, this is back in the era of LimeWire, right? So it's like
Yes.
I got a lot of his music when I was in like freshman and sophomore year of high school for sure. Because those
Yeah.
ones like I'm
My
sure
brother passed it down to me.
nice on a burned CD or an actual
Yeah, I
CD.
think I had MP3s and it was all on a
Nice.
it passed through a hard drive, but I mean LimeWire was definitely a close second.
Yeah, I downloaded some Damien Rice and a bunch of viruses
Yeah,
probably.
right.
Good times.
Did Damien Rice give you the virus? Do we need to check that out?
I mean,
So, okay.
it was probably a lower risk, file, Damien Rice. I don't think that's what most people were putting viruses on.
That's
Um,
true. That's true. The
but
small community. Hey, Alki. Um, okay, so well, let's go into your likes and dislikes. I kind of went through what I know about you already, and so I
okay.
wanted to kind of get that bearings before we go into your likes and dislikes. Um, I was curious, however, you were born and raised in St. Louis or Kansas City?
St. Louis,
Right,
yes.
right, and then moved to Kansas City, and so not many people know this, but I'm also in Kansas City. Fenwa and I have met before. We have sang songs, not at the same time, but we have sang songs in each other's presence.
Yes.
And Fenwa is one of few people that is a great inspiration to me. So I'm very happy to have you on.
Oh,
So let's talk about coffee. So
ah,
hard segue.
yes.
um, so I mean, let's get down to it. Are you the espresso guy? Are you the no cream, no sugar guy? Or are you the like? What is your coffee?
Uh, I would say I'm an equal opportunist when it comes to coffee types because sometimes if I'm at like a cafe, I might want just a simple double shot espresso. I might want a macchiato.
Mm-hmm.
I might get the wildest latte possible with the most amount of sugar you could conceive of, even if it's like, oh, you have a ice cream shake coffee latte. Well, I love that.
Sign me up.
And yeah, but if it's a good grind, a good like bean, I'll have black coffee. But typically, like my day to day is just a medium roast with some oat milk creamer and maybe like
Yummy.
vanilla oat milk creamer and coffee. Uh, so simple but versatile. Oh,
Yes.
infos are there's never a bad time for coffee. You know what I'm saying?
Decaf only for Infozar though.
Decaf. That
Only.
was when I was finding out about blood pressure issues. If you're not in your 30s yet, everybody, you have a lot of things to look forward to. One of which is finding out what's wrong with you. Um, and the first question when I was talking to my doctor, I was like, "So, coffee, can I keep drinking it? I'm pretty sure I can, right? There's no direct link between coffee and blood pressure." And they're like, "Oh, first of all, you're asking the wrong people because we drink 2 pots a day." Um, they're like, "But yeah, it's like if you limit yourself to like a pot of coffee in a day, you're fine because it really has more to do with, is your coffee consumption affecting your anxiety, right?" Um, which for me it's not unless I don't eat anything and I just have iced coffee all day, girl dinner.
Mm-hmm.
But but yes. So there's that.
Yeah, I'm an iced coffee girl. I
Mhm,
no
mhm.
longer even drink hot coffee unless it's like hotel. You have to drink the Starbucks hot coffee in the hotel because that's the only thing they have. I
Yes.
will go into restaurants and ask if they have iced coffee and they say no. I go to diner specifically. If it's a restaurant, I won't do this, but if it's a diner, I will ask for a cup of ice and some coffee and I will pour the coffee over that ice and I will add milk or the creamers and that's how I drink my coffee. Like I'm very specific on iced coffee.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't add sugar to it. I took out
Yeah.
sugar a long time ago.
I'm the same. I try not to ingest well, it's like I cut sugar and salt out of my diet as much as I can, but it's America, so
Right.
it's like really hard, I would
Right,
say.
right. Yeah, from time to time I'll go to Starbucks and I'll get like my Trenta iced coffee with skim milk and then I'll go ahead and be like
Ooh.
maybe some white mocha sauce in there. I don't know. Like
Yeah, I
just like
mean,
one or
yeah,
two. You
I feel
see it
that.
at the bottom and you're just like I know what I'm in for right now.
Like, but it's all the most tasty foods in the world are tasty for 2 reasons. Either it's they have a lot of fat or a lot of sugar, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna love them and regret it later, but
Yep.
that is what it is.
100%. So it's funny because you put fresh coffee. So I'm assuming I felt like that was a
No.
like do you it has to be fresh. It can't be stale coffee. You're not a fan of the stale coffee
Nah,
or
I mean, it's like one of my little pleasures is if we have a good coffee bean and grinding it in
yes.
the morning
Yes.
and that kind of fresh,
That
yeah.
kind of fresh. Absolutely. Um okay. So I'm curious as far as you said medium roast is usually where you're at.
Well, that's just because I live with my brother, but, if I'm, like, alone, I'll get some of the darker roasts out there, and, Kansas City has some good roasters here, one of which is called The Roastery, um, but, like, I used to live next to their factory, which was bad for my wallet.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause, I would just go in there, almost every day, at least once, and be like, "I shouldn't be doing" um but really, it's just once again, I like all different types of coffee, and I vary it so that I don't get, like, bored of
Right.
certain, like, flavors, I would say.
Now you usually have three drinks in front of you, right? Water, tea, and coffee.
Yes.
How does that work? How do you balance the flavor of coffee with the flavor of tea with the flavor of water?
Balance? I just do it.
It
I just
just
do it. I mean, it's not like I'm like, what a tasty
got it.
medley I just had."
Got it. I was wondering because I was like I wonder if you have like a special coffee that has like a special like oat milk and then you have oat milk in your tea and so it kind of like
Oh,
blends or something.
that's a good point. Like, have, like, a nice, because usually I'm drinking the tea because, I drink throat coat with honey and a little bit of lemon just for, like, vocal health.
Right.
Um, and then water, of course, is so that everybody relaxes and doesn't tell me to hydrate.
Hydrate. Yeah. Do you
And
have a
coffee is to stay
hydrate?
up.
Do you have a hydrate button?
Well, fun fact, that was the first thing I changed when I started streaming was, like, when somebody I didn't know came in and kept redeeming it, and I was like,
Why is this
"Yo,"
here?
like and they, like, wouldn't stop talking about it because I was drinking wine. They
Oh,
wouldn't stop talking about it. I was like, "Okay." I was like, thank you, sir, for making me realize I need to get rid of this.
right.
And by the way, I am in my 30s. Like,
Don't tell
don't
me
go
what to do.
around to adult streams unless because some people specifically want you to remind them because they need to be reminded. I
Right.
get that. But it's like I was like, don't just don't what? Like,
You're new here
what?
and you're just telling me what to do, and I hate that. Yeah.
Well, it's like, "I'm an adult, sir. I understand what water is. Like, thank you very much. Please." And I haven't seen that person again since, so it's fine.
Yeah. Now let's talk wine. You had brought it up. What's your wino choice, or are you a wino everything?
Uh, well, I do like semi-sweet and semi-dry reds. I
Yes.
like typically, I like going for a Malbec or a, a Chianti or
Hmm.
Bordeaux or Missouri's grape, which is the Norton.
I knew that actually. I've
Yeah.
gotten wine from a place over by St. Louis, probably about an hour outside between St. Louis
Oh,
and
and
Columbia.
Defiance or Augusta, that area.
I think so because there's a winery there that specifically had Norton in the name
Oh, okay.
and Norton wine. I don't think the place was called Norton or whatever, but the wine itself was Norton. I was like, what the F is Norton? Like, I'm coming from Jersey and I'm like, what the F is a Norton wine?
Oh, so it's a grape that's very similar to trying to think the best comparison in America, but it's been used during various blights in California and France to supplement the grape loss. So it's actually I don't know a really great grape, a great grape.
Great.
Um, I really like it. Um, I don't know. It's because it's not too dry for people who prefer sweeter wines.
Yeah, let's see. The Norton, Daniel Norbin Norton of Richmond, Virginia, who selected it
Yep.
from among what he believed were seedlings of long forgotten grape variety called Bland, though there is some doubt as whether it's the actual source of the seed which yielded Norton.
Hmm.
So,
It reminds me of how like none of us know what like do you know that the banana flavor that we have artificially is based on a breed of bananas that no longer exists?
I do.
Isn't that fucking wild? Like
Yeah, and
what?
bananas are going extinct. They have to try to figure out what to do with all the bananas because bananas are no, they can't produce with each other anymore. They've already produced too much.
Well, that's yeah, that's the first one of the misnomers that a lot of people just don't understand when people like, "Oh, no GMOs." I'm like, "Well, even normal, natural, even like any sort of selective process that anybody does, greenhouse or in a farm or anywhere, it's like that is genetically modifying plants.
Right.
As like what most people have an issue with is certain chemical processes when it comes to that. And it's like, dude, go ahead and clone bananas. I don't care. Like clone the plants. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right. As
like
long as they still exist, I'm good with that.
yeah, but we'll see. Because we live in a very interesting era when it comes to foods, the way we farm, and the way we exist as a consuming global society when it comes to pretty much everything we eat. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next 10 years with things like bananas.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. Yeah, I was looking the commercially available in 1830, so it's a long time grape.
Yeah, that's right.
And then does it say no, it does not say. I was gonna say what if it was like sweet or what they consider it as.
Oh, that's
Um,
funny. They don't have it anywhere. Huh. But I mean, I would put it as a semi-sweet red.
yeah.
But it's all in the same wheelhouse. Like all the wines I like are very similar. Um, the Norton Chianti Chambourcin grape is another very similar to the Norton. Um,
Chianti is my
yeah,
bitch.
yeah, Chianti. Yeah, I actually got to go to Chianti once. It was amazing. Such a beautiful area of the world, that part of Italy.
Wow.
And the wine. Like when you get it from some vineyard, like just random vineyard out there that like two people are running, you're like, this is amazing. And it's not, because most wineries there are family owned and
Right.
like very small, like just plots. And by wineries, I mean just like when it comes to how they grow, uh, it's interesting because like you would go by a hillside, right? And you would see maybe 20 different plots. And each one of those plots is just owned by a family, and those are just their grapes that they harvested themselves, took home themselves, made wine themselves. So, very different culture. It's like I would just kind of compare it to our microbrewery culture. I
Right.
would say is like imagine that, but it's wine.
But it's wine,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Did what was I about to say? With the Chianti, oh, did you get to step on grapes?
I didn't. I had the opportunity. I was like, no, I don't really want to. Like, not that I'm, like, afraid to get my feet dirty or anything, I was like, I would rather just drink wine, not
Right? Not
take my shoes and socks off and
step on it.
wash my feet, and then like, oh, that sounds like a whole thing. Like, I'll let you guys do that. I'll just drink more while you're doing that.
Yeah, I'll drink and watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I come from a very Italian family, and so Chianti was actually the first wine I ever tasted, and I was like, okay,
Whoa.
I've had wines where like especially the white wines where I'm just like, what is this? Like this tastes like a headache. Like I don't want this in my mouth. It's too sweet, too sweet. But then I have like the really dry reds, and I actually enjoy a dry red as well. I'll
Yeah.
have a dry red and I'll be like, okay, but this also tastes like a headache in the morning. Chianti is like that middle ground for me.
Yeah, I really enjoy Chianti. I'm surprised your first wine wasn't freaking Merlot because of Roman Catholicism.
No, table wine, that's pretty
I
frequent.
I suppose, yeah, mine was definitely Merlot because of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's why to this day I don't like Merlot wine typically, even though there's nothing wrong with it per se, and it's
Right.
still like in this. I'm like, no, I know it's Merlot, and now I'm triggered and I'm not enjoying myself.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I never got to drink the wine. I stopped it in 8th grade after I got my confirmation, and then I was like, this is good for religion. I think I'll stop here. So,
yeah, damn, I wish I had that fortitude. I
yeah.
applaud you.
My mom said as long as you get through your confirmation, you could believe in whatever you want. I was like, deal.
As long as we indoctrinate you while you're young and impressionable.
Like, and her idea was is that if we changed our mind later on, at least we had that piece to come back to. So, like, if
Okay.
we went ahead and experimented with other religions and we found that this was the one that we actually wanted, she wanted to make sure, like, if I were to get married in the Catholic Church, right, I would
Yeah.
have to have my confirmation in order to do that.
Honestly, that's very progressive for most American parents,
Hmm.
comparatively. So that's tight.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
she's a cool woman. Um, so okay, so we've talked about wine, and you have your special wine goblet.
yeah,
Okay.
it's upstairs, but yes.
And then you have the horse pour. Is that you who has the horse that you put on the wine things and it's like a cork and you pour it and it looks like
No,
it's throwing up? I thought that was
that's
you.
that's awesome.
I'll
I want
have
to
to
get like a
get that for
unicorn
you.
one.
Yeah, I'll have to
That
get that
sounds
for you
tight.
because it looks funny and
That's tight.
it looks like it's throwing up and who doesn't want to drink that?
I suppose it's also like an air. I forget what those are called, like an aerator that like
Yes.
injects a little. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, so we're about to get into some strange territory here. Um, Infozar knows that this might conversation might go on for 30 minutes, so I'm gonna need you to stop me, okay? Because I'm
Mhm.
very passionate about this next subject.
Mhm.
All right, let's talk about pizza.
Ah. Oh.
Very passionate about pizza. Yeah, starts 30-minute timer. Infozar knows, okay? I've been through this once before this gambit, and I'm very passionate about pizza. So before I don't shut my trap, I'd like to talk to you about pizza. What do you like about it? Why is it on your list?
First of all, it's it's the variety. It's all there. But growing up in St. Louis and also being from a family that's Italian, um, it was just one of those foods where, first of all, you live in America, you're gonna eat pizza as a kid,
Right.
period. And we grew up in a like kind of a golden era, back when Pizza Hut was still a sit-down restaurant
Mm-hmm.
where they still brought you a fucking frying pan with your deep dish pan-fried pizza, and it was like good, like it was a legitimately good pizza. And remember the fucking when they did the New York style pizza for a little bit, that was the craziest, like most drippiest. And I don't know about you, but if you've ever had St. Louis style pizza, but the thing that makes it St. Louis style is the Provel,
Proval.
which isn't a real cheese. It's fake, but it's delicious and I love it. And if you ever get Emo's pizza, make sure they do it well done, for fuck's sake. But I don't know. I love pizza. I love the way it tastes. I love going around the world and trying their pizzas. Being in New York and having a slice was like transformative when I was a kid. And I love it when I have friends from Chicago who are like, Chicagoans don't really eat deep dish. I'm like, well, tell that to the restaurants that I ate deep dish pizza at in Chicago. It's like, it's okay to like have a regional pizza, and that doesn't mean that's the only pizza that people eat there, all right? But I don't know, I just I like pizza. Lately, I think the Kansas City, there's no like Kansas City style pizza,
Mm-hmm.
but I think one of the things we're known for here is our hot honey,
Oh yeah.
which is a great addition. If I'm going for a pizza, if I was doing like two toppings off the top of my head, if I'm cheating and eating meat, it's gonna be, Italian sausage and jalapeno. If I'm going, but I do love a nice margherita pizza.
Yes.
Um, if it's done well and done right, which that's one of the few pizzas that like you have to do a specific way, or else it's not just about the ingredients; it's about the presentation, about getting the red, the white, and the green. Um, but I don't know, I just love pizza, and I do not mind pineapple. I will eat a Hawaiian pizza and enjoy it. I have had anchovies on pizza. They were just crunchy and salty. It was fine. I was like, all right. Um, but I've never had a pizza I didn't like. Uh, yeah, it's fucking
It's
give me a
fucking
pizza. Let's go.
Let's
Like I'll
pizza.
like normal pizza, gluten-free pizza, vegan pizza. I don't care. I'll eat it and I will enjoy it, and I will probably eat too much of it.
That's fair. What's there's a restaurant that just opened up around here. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but they've got ridiculously good looking pizza. But it's like
Okay.
18 no, $30 for a round. It's an 18-inch pizza. It's $30.
You talking about Pizza Taschio?
That's the one.
Yeah, with the gay Waluigi as their mascot
I think so. Yeah.
is what, so I feel like it's a front. I feel like it's a money laundering operation. I've been to 2 of their locations now, and they keep expanding. But, like, for example, they just opened one on 39th Street,
Mhm.
and anytime you go there, you're like, "There's nobody in here." And I don't see your delivery driver, like, who, where, because it's definitely a by the slice type place.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because anytime you go in there, I'm like, there's nobody in here. But the pizzas, they're huge. They are big pies. So
Yeah.
it's like, is it worth $30? I would kind of, yeah. Um, I would say. It's good. It's a good slice. It's a good za. It's good pie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I like the Bronx more. The Bronx used to have a 39th Street location, but it closed during COVID. I think they have their main one's in Overland Park. Of course, everything's in Overland Park.
Everything, yeah.
Thank you, gentrification. Fuck you.
Right.
And but there's a lot of good places. A good classic is oh geez. They have like 24-hour delivery, and I always blank on their name until I am shit faced and it's 3 a.m. Um,
And yes, it's
oh
18
fuck.
inches in Fozar.
Oh, and I'd have some Boston pie. What's wrong with Boston? What do you mean? Like, I mean, there's people that make shitty pizza. There was this one place called the Art of Pizza, that was in the Crossroads, and I remember one time we ordered garlic, like as a topping because it was there, and the guy didn't even like. It was like fresh garlic cloves, shittily sliced, just thrown on there at the end. And I was like, whoa, it was some of the worst pizza I've ever had. Um, yeah.
Damn.
Arteggio Pizza is a good spot in Kansas City as well. There's a lot of good ones.
What about
Uh,
Mafia Pizzeria? Have you been there before?
I
It's in
don't think
South
so.
KC. I'm not going to give the exact location, but it's in South KC. And it's I think it's called Mafia Pizza. It's
Hmm.
I think down. Let me see. Are you looking it up?
Mafia Pizza? Not yet, because I was looking for the one I was thinking of.
Southside Mafia Pizzeria.
Okay.
That apparently has
Um,
really, really good pizza. And that
I'm sure
is
it does. Kelly's in Westport has great pizza. Um, Another place I'm trying to think of. Oh, it's called Joe's. It's called Joe's Pizza, which is like Old Westport
okay.
near the plaza. It's really good as well, especially if the brothers are making the pizza, it is
Right.
fucking chef's kiss. But if it's like one of those shifts where you're like, why is everybody in here a high schooler? It's hit or miss, you know what I mean?
The what's the pizzeria in Power and Light? Do you know what I'm talking
I
about?
I never go to Power and
Neither
Light.
do I. I went because I why did I go? I went because there was a show that was happening, a some sort of show.
Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
went there and I was like, I'm not going to have pizza here because I'm a pizza snob. We'll get into that in a second. But like, I'm not going to enjoy the pizza here. And I did. I actually enjoyed the pizza quite a bit. And Galvos was pleasantly surprised that I liked pizza from anywhere but New Jersey. So
Oh.
that's
I mean,
that's my spiel.
understandable.
I don't know. I can't like Infozar's talking about Boston style, and that's the problem. Or people talk about Chicago style, and that's the best. First of all, Chicago style is a casserole, not a pizza. It should be under its own
It's
section.
sometimes like it's like a soup,
It
you know? Like
is
it's like a fucking bread
Red Bull.
bowl soup, which I don't mind.
No, and it's so saying there's nothing wrong with Chicago style, but I don't think it should be called a pizza. I think it should be called something else. A pizza is a pie. A pizza is a round pie. I don't care if you cut it into squares if that's your thing, but it is a pie. When you have something that's rectangular and soupy and large, that's not a pizza.
Joe, did you know that Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is opening up? Isn't that the place that's the Nicolas Cage? Or is that One Night at Freddy?
Five Night at Freddy's.
Five Night at Freddy's is actually going to become a pizza place here? What the fuck?
That
I
sounds
didn't
crazy.
realize. That's awesome. Fat Sully's, great pizza.
Yeah.
Grinders, I think, is a little overrated.
Mm-hmm.
Sarpino's, that's what I was trying to think of. Sarpino's. All right, like Sarpino's isn't the best. But they will be there for you all night, all day. 4 a.m. You need pizza, boom, they got you. Like, um, and it's affordable and it's not bad.
I think
It's
my
not bad.
friend works for Sarpino's down here. Um, I'll have to check it out because every single time we get delivery, it's not delivery, it's DiGiorno. No, every single time we have to get delivery, it's through DoorDash or whatever. It's through some sort of because nothing around here delivers.
Oh, even recently, and also Infosar has like a pretty sound
I know,
argument,
I saw that, and
unfortunately.
I just didn't
It's
want to
like
acknowledge it, but he's damn
it's
right.
it's very true. It's more like oh no, I mean it's
It's
you're
true.
right.
So then,
You're
so let
right,
let
you
me
jerk.
change my wording because I call it a pie, a pizza pie. It shouldn't be called a pizza, but it can be called a pie. That's all. I'll change my answer.
Tomato sauce pie.
All right, Siri. I
Tomato and
don't. I
cheese
don't need
pie.
your lip, Siri. Sorry, bot. Okay, I'm gonna need you to calm down.
But pizza's a lot like wine for me when it comes to um I've been to some places where like, the best pizza was being served. I've been to places where like the best wine was being served. And for wine at the end of the day, I don't like elitists in any way. Especially when it comes to drinking alcohol because like listen, player, you are drinking like fermented fungal excrement, okay? You are drinking shit from bacteria that makes us high,
Right.
okay? Calm down. Um and I think just food in general, I am passionate about food, but also when I see people like taking anything too seriously where it's like you're taking all the joy out of it.
That's
It's
fair.
like
That's me.
um it's okay though. I accept that about you
Thank
and
you.
it's all right.
It's my one thing, and if I have that one thing, it would be pizza. But it doesn't mean that when people say I love that for you, doesn't mean that don't love that you like Emo's pizza. I accept you for that.
Well, it's like I grew up in St. Louis. It's St. Louis
I
style.
know, I know.
And really it's like if you get a good slice with Prevel and your favorite toppings and it's well done and it isn't slop falling like cuz I think the problem is when you franchise like that, it's hard to have quality assurance when your restaurants are like 300 miles away from each other.
Right.
It's like cuz I've had some bad emo pies. All right? It's the truth. Um but it's not my favorite place for St. Louis style pizza because that's in St. Louis.
Right.
Um,
No,
is what
I
it
I
is.
agree with you. And I guess I've become less of a snob now that I'm trying actually finding pizza that's decent here. It's like when you go somewhere else and you're like, I can't have this barbecue because it's not Kansas City. Not that you're saying
Right.
you can't have it. You're just saying it's not that great.
Right.
That's how I feel
Yeah.
about pizza, where I can go and I'll be like, okay, I'll eat your pizza. It's around here. I'm not going to say no to pizza that's in front of me, but I'm also going to be like, but it's not pizza from home.
Right. No, I get that. I imagine New Jersey has a lot of great pizza
Oh my God.
spots,
Oh
obviously.
my
I mean, it would be ridiculous if it didn't. I'd be like
God.
shocked beyond belief. I would be like, is anything real?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm spoiled. I'm so spoiled. My family owned a restaurant back in Jersey.
Oh.
I can't say the name cuz it's my last name, but they owned a
Ah.
restaurant. And I was just talking about this yesterday. They had this chicken dish called chicken pietrosa, which
Ooh.
was the sauce that was on it was a maple, bacon, and mushroom sauce that was thick,
Oh.
like thick with two C's,
Oh
and
yeah.
the chicken was flattened pretty thin, and I would always get extra sauce and scallions, and I would always get
Oh.
extra sauce. I know. So
Oh.
I've never been able to replicate this because this is my cousin's dish. Well, I found
Uh-huh.
something similar to it at 54th Street and Grill, which I don't think you have any up there, but the nearest one is in Lee Summit.
Okay.
It has very similar taste. And from that point on, when I realized that there was something similar out there to something that I thought was particular, I was like, okay, I need to calm the fuck down. Like, there are other things that there are good that aren't what I expect to be not good. I don't know. It's a growing thing. I'm still sort of a pizza snob, but I'm growing.
That just reminded me of this pizza I got in New York last year. It was a fig and truffle
Oh
oil
my god.
pizza. Like I honestly, I'm gonna ask. Beta knows where it was, so it's like I need to find out the restaurant and just like write them and be like, can you please? Like, I'm not trying
Send
to
this to
compete with
me.
you. Like, I live so far away. I'm not opening a restaurant. I just want to know what the ingredients are so I can make it myself.
Right.
Uh, please, but
Please.
because sometimes it's like one thing I'll say about pizza is that a lot of people, get stuck in the formulaic way that traditional pizza's made. And some of my favorite pizzas I've had like throughout the world are when people, question, what should the sauce be? What kind of cheese can we have here?
Right.
Um, but yeah, pizza's fucking good. I
Yeah.
can see how how you talk about it for over 30 minutes.
It's so right.
It's pizza.
It's pizza. I don't know how to stop Siri bot info, sorry, but you can stop it. We'll go on to the next one. Um, I think that Fenwa has a much healthier view of pizza than I do. So, um, but yeah. So okay. So let's talk about. You can't stop Siri bot. Well,
Nobody can.
nobody can. Irrepressible. um. Okay. So let's talk about Halloween
Oh,
and how
yay.
you love autumn and Halloween. I'll kind of put those two together. You
Yeah.
can tell me about that.
Well, I think um for a lot of us that grew up when we did, growing up when it's interesting because I think we were one of the last. Because saying millennial, I think, is too broad. But I think if you were born in the late 80s to like mid 90s, you got to experience like traditional Halloween in America in the
Mm-hmm.
sense that you went trick or treating and everybody was trick or treating and everybody was decorating their house. And if you lived in a neighborhood, it's like that's what you did. And it was like such a quintessential experience. And of course, this is back when I actually knew who my neighbors were and we
Right.
actually talked, and people would invite you over for barbecues because fuck it, everybody's outside anyway. Like, we live in such an odd time, but that's beside the point. But just those kind of memories for me like always stuck with me. Like, some of my favorite nights were and weekends and weeks were like getting ready for Halloween, the costume, the candy, the movies, and the weather.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that's getting lost is like we grew up when autumn was real and progressive, and like it slowly got colder and jacket weather was longer than just a week.
Right.
And it's so interesting now because as an adult, I'm very atheist, and it's the only Halloween. I mean, it's the only holiday uh, stolen by the Holy Roman Empire that I want to celebrate.
Right.
Um, as like more like the pagan way it's celebrated, I suppose. And it's just interesting because I love the idea of being free because of the masks you wear. Ironically, like shedding the mask that society makes you wear and being able to be whatever you want. Whether it's slutty Michael Myers or a slutty Pedro Pascal, like, you know, you can do what you want, and like I think there's always been this kind of sense of like your freedom, a little bit of freedom in this somewhat oppressive to highly oppressive world. And just like the way those movies make me feel, like Hocus Pocus, or horror movies, like getting ready to watch a horror movie with some fucking cider or what have you, when you're just like, this is it right here.
Right.
and also it's just now even more so, and it's because of capitalism. Like, Halloween is so like it's so awesome. Like, if you're a fan of Halloween, getting ready for Halloween, you're like, this is so dope. Like, look at all this content out there. And like, how, I don't know, it's just it's everything I like about being a person, being a human. Like, you get to see creativity and art and socializing in a way that's not super stressful.
Right.
Um, and I don't know. Obviously, I kinda like spooky, scary shit, and so it all just kinda goes together,
Yeah.
I would say.
Do you do the pumpkin carving and stuff?
Typically, the last couple years, though, I've performed on Halloween in Salem, Massachusetts as
Ooh.
part of, she used to stream here a lot more. Now she just might stream one of her events. Her name's Nikki Luparelli, AKA Spooky Loopy. Infozar
Okay.
knows her in real life. And she puts on a thing called the Haunted Speakeasy, and it's 1920s speakeasy themed, and it's a party slash concert where there's drag and burlesque and drinks and hors d'oeuvres and photography and her band, which is typically like an 8 or 7 piece band, does a bunch of covers of songs from the 20s and songs from modern era that sound like they're in the 20s, and it's a really great experience, and it's wild because I got to have my favorite 2 Halloweens the last 2 years. We'll see this year because things are kind of up in the air as far as venue goes, and my ability to drive out there with all my stuff,
Right.
which is it's kinda hard, but worth it. Um, but I haven't been to, like, an honest to goodness, like, Halloween party that I wasn't performing at in, like, 5 years, which is wild to think about.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Hopefully we'll see what happens this year because I don't know. And plus TwitchCon, I'm like, "Yo, quit putting TwitchCon closer and closer
It's
to
a
Halloween.
Halloween, yeah.
Like, you dicks. Like, keep it the same date, please. Thank you."
Yeah, we're
Um,
we're flying in Thursday night and then leaving Sunday morning at 5 a.m. because those were the only
damn,
flights through Southwest that were direct flights and the cheapest flights.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Um, but
But
yeah,
yeah, so I mean even with Halloween and autumn, I always say that autumn is becoming more, I feel like more appreciated lately because we're having less and less of it.
yeah,
So I feel like a lot of people will say that autumn is their favorite holiday season. Um, Geez, it could go down to one day and be a holiday. The holiday of autumn, the one
right?
day.
The one day where it's slightly not oppressively hot and isn't snowing yet.
It's gonna be
It's like,
101 degrees next week, Fenwa. I can't handle it.
my goodness. No, I know. I know.
And my mom's flying in, and I'm like, "Welcome to hell!" like,
It was it was projected originally for it to be 112
oh
degrees
my god,
tomorrow,
oh god,
last week, and I was like, "Oh my god," because I have a show on Saturday, and I remember seeing that. I was like, "Holy shit!" Now it looks kind of acceptable. It's like going to be mid 80s,
oh, okay.
but I'm like, "Geez, holy shit!" But that's
Global warming.
yay.
Yay.
Hey, but don't worry, if you drink out of that biodegradable coffee cup, like, you're gonna oh, wait, never mind. That doesn't mean shit.
right, right.
I do love that little trick that a lot of companies and governments love to do, where they make it seem like, "Well, it's actually on you as an individual citizen." I'm like, is it though?" When is it? Is it? You sure about that? Um, but we don't that's a different topic. That's not about Halloween.
No, 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 no. Okay, so celebrated in Ireland and Scotland for centuries. So they brought it over, I'm guessing. Yeah, American influence of Halloween spread to other countries in the late 20th and 21st century. So what do you feel like it would be in like the 1920s to be in Halloween? Like what do you think that would be like?
Uh, I mean, if I was in like America,
Yeah.
probably suck. In a lot of ways, just because first of all, prohibition.
Right.
Um, that would make it not fun. But I'm sure depended on where you were, because and if you were like religious,
Yeah, if you're religious, I'm
um,
sure that would go down the toilet.
oh yeah, um, I, it's really funny this this strange like resurgence that we see every like 15 years or so of certain factions of Christians like wanting to demonize Halloween, and I'm like, gosh, like ho- how do you reconcile not knowing about your own religious history?
Right,
Like it's
right.
so funny to me where I'm like, yeah, oh my goodness. But
There was
that's
an
fine.
there was an episode of Bones where, because I've
Ooh,
been
nice.
rewatching Bones, there was an episode that was talking about Halloween, and basically they go into like this church, and they're like, "No, no, we're celebrating Halloween. We're making the Maze of Horrors. Over here, this is the sin. This is the greed section." And you can do this, and then over here is the sin section for this, and we're gonna scare them with dead babies and all this other shit. And like, you just go through and you're just like, I wonder if this is what they actually do to try to celebrate Halloween and make it their own holiday. Like, I wonder if this was based on a true fucking story of like a Halloween maze of horrors for Catholics. Like,
Yeah. Well, you never know. I mean, it's interesting because much like a lot of different celebrations, it has to do with celestial events.
right,
That's why you see so many holidays that take place around the same time as Halloween throughout history. Not to mention the spread of certain beliefs because of, you know, Germanic people coming into Great Britain, etc. And then, of course, the way the Holy Roman Empire assimilated the beliefs and practices of so many different people. And this kind of mishmash you see now, borrowing things from, Scotland, from Germany, from various other places that come into like the way we kind of conceive it.
right,
Um, and I don't know, it's interesting because Christians stole all their ideas from other religions,
one hundred
which is
percent, yeah.
which is just history. But
Yeah. um. All right, so Autumn, we let's talk about let's visit on the concept of campfires. Um, so I went to a huge event last week out in Ohio, and there was just Ragnarok, and there was just fire pits everywhere, like no matter where
hell
you
yeah.
went. But it was also like full humidity and very, very
Oh,
hot
oh,
outside. So
ugh.
like you're sitting at like a huge distance because you're like, I want to look at the fire, and fire is
Yes.
magical. Let's look at fire. But then you're at the same token, you're like, but it's hot. It's hot. It's really, really hot.
No, I know that game
Mm-hmm.
because I feel that I've fires definitely. It's like part nostalgia for like those different things that we associate them with when we were kids. Part like when I was growing up and there was nothing else to do, well, let's have a bonfire and drink in our friend's field.
Right.
And or the nights where, you're camping, it's hot, but like you need a campfire to kind of set that mood or to just have some light for
Right.
whatever you're doing. And I also was, like a Cub Scout and all my I don't know, like I love building fires. Like there's something about it because like you're saying, it's one of those things that humans have been doing since we were human.
Right.
So it feels very primal. It's like sitting by the ocean. You feel this kind of strange primal connection to the activity because it it feels so quintessentially human to have a fire, to ward off the night, to protect yourself for warmth or for food or whatever you're using it for. And I don't know. I just like partying by fires too, I
Yeah.
think.
Party. Yeah, I get that. And hello, Raiders. Welcome on in.
Hello.
This is Fenwa, and I am the Rusty Panda, and we are doing Wiki Wednesday. So feel free to sit back and learn some stuff. Um, so I agree with you on campfires, but we're gonna take a hard turn because I've been
Okay.
staring at this one for a while, and I love this one so much. So you put specifically cat on my lap.
Yeah.
Not cats, not whatever, cat on my lap. And I love that because I know that feeling. So, talk to me about cat on my lap. What makes you put that on your list?
Um, I do love a good support animal, and I grew up as a dog person, but the older I'm getting, the more I love the independence and low maintenance of a cat.
Mm-hmm.
Good God.
Yep.
And I don't cats you got to work for. You know what I mean? Like you feel lucky if a cat wants to come on your lap and sit. And cuz we have a cat that's kind of like a pseudo neighborhood cat that has kind of chosen us for the moment. And it's just one of those things, like, is there anything that beats a cat sitting on your lap voluntarily, laying down and purring to where you can audibly hear it and just like, well, this is the life right here. Tell you what.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How many how many cats have you had, like, I don't want to say
Cat on
had.
my lap at once?
Yeah. Yeah, at once, or just in your life in general. Like, did you grow up with cats or
I grew up with dogs. Because my mom was allergic to cats, which the older I got, the more I realized was really a great way to leave parties and not go to people's houses she didn't want to go to. Because I found out when I was 16 that I was like way more allergic than her. And I was like, hmm. But I'm like, I'm gonna store that in the old playbook for when I'm at a social function I don't like. Be like, what kind of pets do you have? Oh, I'm so allergic to that,
yeah.
whatever that is. I'm allergic. I gotta go. I have a migraine now.
Yeah.
Um,
Give me that Benadryl. I got to go to sleep.
but I'm not against dogs. All right, I'm not like one of those dog people who are like, oh, I hate cats. I'm like, bro, what's your problem?
Right.
But it's really just like I don't have to walk the cat. If it's in the morning and cold and I don't want to get up to take my cat outside, I don't need to
Right.
because they poop in a box.
Right.
Um, And when people are like, "Oh, you want like that in your house?" So I'm like, "Hey, have you ever heard of a toilet? Like, what do you think we do? We poop in our own houses, all right? So it's like I can stand another animal doing it. It's fine.
Right. I'll have to wake up on the couch to see the cat 2 inches from my face. Without fail, the cat would sneeze on my face 1 second after I open my eyes. We have a cat
Perfect.
that sneezes on my husband probably once a day. Just just has the sniffles and always sneezes on my husband. Never me, always my husband.
Allergic to your husband, I get it.
Yeah.
Infozar over here just digging holes in his backyard apparently and popping squats, which is the natural way. It's fine. Um,
That's funny.
it could be. I love that cats mimic people. I think we've all seen the tiny laptop reel. Like, look at this little businessman. But yeah, I love cats. I love dogs. I love all animals. One of the only mammals you should never buy are guinea pigs. Don't get a guinea pig.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't do it. They don't. They're just gonna eat your shit. Like,
Yeah.
not literally. Just don't.
Nibble nibble. Yeah.
Yes, the
Yeah, I like I said, I have three cats, and they each have their own personalities. And the one cat acts like a dog. So when Galvus gets home and walks down the hallway, she trots after him with her tail up, like, just, we call her Puppy Cat.
yes.
And then the other one is addicted to me. I wake up and I'm on my side. She's on my side. It's just
I
here
love
all the
that.
time. And then the third cat, because one is my husband's cat, one is basically my cat. The third cat is the whore. She is everybody's cat. You
I
come
love
in my
that.
house and Ruby will be like, I'm your friend. Pet me. Love me. Do anything you want. I just want your attention. So the personalities are real. My dad had 25 dogs at one time and countless cats, and they were
That's
outdoor and slightly feral. He lived in the countryside. 25 is too many.
that's a lot. That's unless yeah, that's a lot.
That's a
That's
lot
a
of dog
lot.
food, too, man. That's a
Yes.
damn
Yeah,
25.
Chat's doing some gems right now, but yeah, having like a puppy and a kitten like both on my lap at one time, uh, D that'd be dope. Infozar, I implore you to check out an account called Mr. Kidders. This owner got, I don't know what the camera is exactly. It's not a GoPro, but it's one made for collars. And it's the adventures of Mr. Kidders. And it's just like this cat wandering around a very like lush suburban area and like his interactions with other cats. I have seen this cat meow at those cats and ek 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 at
Oh
those
yeah,
cats.
the
So it's like,
chitters, yeah.
I imagine they probably have a lot of different meows for humans, though. That would be an interesting research project. Um, uh, you just got to know how to handle. I mean, if I had the land to have a rescue operation, if I had the resources in the land to just like bring in cats and dogs into a giant like I would. I'm sure it's fun in its own way if you got like the time to pay attention to them.
Have you seen the ladies that have the circus cats?
What?
Yeah, they're well trained circus cats. So they go on the ball and they paddle on the ball across the stage, or they walk on the beam, and they do flips through rings, and
Awesome.
it is absolutely crazy, like totally crazy. And
I'm assuming they're on social media, right?
yeah, oh yeah,
Okay, good. I was
oh
about to
yeah,
say.
just definitely check
It's
them
like
out. Yeah, just check them out. This It's like circus cats or something along those lines. House cats are unique in every way and use their voices to communicate with their human companions. They rarely meow at one another.
yeah, I mean that makes sense. Um the there's this other guy I've been seeing a lot lately where he's trying to quite literally translate cat language much like we did with crows. Successfully, I might say. Like, it's pretty wild. You could find like literal words in the crow language to, like, let's say, if you wanted crows to stay away from your cornfield, you could like mimic their warnings or just like play recordings of crow recordings. But also, crows are smart. They'd probably figure it out eventually that that was not a real crow and might like take vengeance because they're crows.
Do you think the cats would take vengeance?
I think they already, I mean, cats take vengeance all the time. Like, cats are little shits. We all know this. We all love them, but we
Mm-hmm.
all know that they can be
Little
little
shits.
assholes.
Mm-hmm.
Little assholes, you know what I'm saying? Like, uh the cat we're kind of the step dads of right now is the sweetest, most perfect cat I've experienced in a long time. But like her move is like if she really doesn't want to be in here, she'll come be meowing outside. We'll let her in and she'll meow until I'm like, I know you want wet food, even though there's dry food out here. Here you go. And then like sometimes we'll immediately just leave without even without
They
even
want to
a
thank you.
like, come on. I respect it. I respect the hustle.
Yeah, that's great. Oh my god. So we were talking about music earlier, and I was curious as far as um, two things that I want to put together. So the first one is you put pop country.
Um,
So is this like where Bo Burnham's like blue, cold beer, cold jeans, blue beer? Wait, I didn't mean that. You know that? Do you know that sketch at all where he pretends to be a country singer?
yes.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with any if you want to like music of any type, like be my guest. Like I support you 100%. I think it's just one of those genres that's always kind of I mean, I get it. It sounds like a third grader wrote it, so I can relate to it. I'm like, yes, I too like a good beer. Uh, but it's just something about it. I don't know if it was the people that I knew who listened to it. I don't know if it's like I something about it. Like I do listen to a lot of country though. That's the thing. Like I like a lot of older country,
Mm-hmm.
and there are even newer country artists that like I really like Orville Peck, for example, but that's like a different type of country. I don't even
Right.
know how to describe it. It's like um and there's this newer musician named Dean Johnson who's
Okay.
like a cowboy trail music type country, like old country, like 1950s country. But
Nice.
but when we get up to like, you know, Rascal Flatts and Toby Keith and like that kind of
Yep.
pop arena country, it drives me crazy. And I grew up in the Midwest and I went to college in Indiana, and I played football in college in Indiana, and there were so many moments where I'd be like, "All right, guys, like I'm gonna play some music, okay? Like before this football game, where we're gonna go try to physically beat another team. Are you ready?" And I would like put on, like put on heavy metal, and good heavy metal too, like, like top 10 heavy metal bands of the day.
Right.
And they'd be like, "Oh, what the fuck is this? Like, we don't want to hear this shit. What the fuck, man? I'm not trying to get depressed." I'm like, "Depressed? What are you talking about? This is
Right.
like." And then they would like put on that's when Wagon Wheel was
Oh
really popular.
no.
I swear, I swear, like I had a majority of my teammates would rather listen to Wagon Wheel before an American football game than Kill Switch Engage. And I was like, this is the anyway, it was an experience.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, I know the them. Now, do you consider? I'm curious. Tay Tay as pop country.
Some of her stuff is very pop country. And the only thing I'll say about this when it comes to Taylor Swift is that why won't Taylor Swift fans let you not be a fan? Why won't they just accept it? Like I think that's really where the problem comes in, is the rabid fans that won't let you not be a fan. Where I'm like, I just okay.
Right.
They're like, but you haven't heard that one 10-minute song. I'm like, I don't think I want to, but
Right. Right.
I respect your desire to do so. And I respect Taylor Swift, even though her carbon emissions are going to be out off the charts again this year.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
You emit more carbon than a small country. Wicked. Um, but yes, I mean, she literally has some country albums. And
What about
yeah.
Lady Antebellum? Are they pop country?
Who?
Lady Antebellum?
Never heard of him.
Okay, I'm not gonna make that face. They're also considered to me pop country. Um, uh, I wish I could think of some of their songs, but I can't off the top of my head. But I feel like if you heard at least one of them, you would know them.
Oh,
Um,
probably. I live in the Midwest.
mm-hmm.
You can't escape country.
Yeah, it's true.
Um, I don't care, and Jake, I fully support people wanting to listen to Wagon Wheel, um, but as a song to pump you up and 50 other people for a football game, when like it's about physical violence, it's just a very odd choice, I would say.
I agree.
Um, Hey, you're getting drunk with your buddies after the game at a bar and I'm nowhere near. Listen to Wagon Wheel on repeat, and then throw in some I Got Friends in Low Places, and congrats. Like, you know what I mean? Like, do it. Go buck wild. You know what I'm saying? It was just odd and very hard because they never let me play my music and I always had to listen to their music. They wouldn't let me play mine. Anyway, it's fine. I don't think about it in the dead of night. It's I never think about it ever.
Oh yeah, it's 1:15. I'm all alone and I need you
Oh,
now.
yeah, I know that
Yeah.
song.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Um. Uh. Yes. So okay. So let's pop country. I'm curious why the fuck you put the color yellow. Can we just talk about
I
that for
just
a
don't like
second?
it. Um, Once again, if you like yellow, have at it. I think I look terrible in it. Um, Yellow and red and orange, I look terrible in. Terrible. It flushes out my skin, makes me look like sick or dying. More so than I already look. So it's like, and I don't know what it is about it. I think it's another one of those things where like because people like have this attachment to happiness, right, with yellow, and like, well, you don't like being happy. I'm like, I like being happy. What the fuck? It's like
Right.
I just don't like the color yellow. And it's like the more that people like push you on it and press you on it, you're like, no, dude. And it's really just like I don't like painting my walls yellow. I don't like the way it looks. I don't like the way a yellow car looks or the aesthetic nature of it in my domicile anywhere. As a it- so yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things. I just don't like it when I walk when yeah, like I'd be upset if you bought me a yellow shirt. I would be like, why would you do this to me? Now I got to act like I like it and wear it.
Right, right. Be careful what you wish for, Fenwa.
Strangely, we did really love some musical numbers on my football team. The one thing we all agreed on was the musical, The Newsies, because a lot of us were like, I went to an interesting school, a lot of music and science. I was the only person who was a linebacker that wasn't an engineer, strangely. Uh, I had a smart team, but a lot of us were also like into musical theater. So if you know the movie that or the musical The Newsies, there were a couple songs that we would like get pumped to. Strangely.
That's awesome. Yeah, the Newsies is sweet. Um, Good music. Very good music. Um, all right, so let's come back to drinks by bodies of water.
Oh yeah. Um,
So are we talking about like the ocean or the lake or
well, I'm not a lake person per se because lakes are typically gross.
mm-hmm.
Especially Lake of the Ozarks. If you're ever wondering about coming to Missouri, don't go to Lake of the Ozarks. And unless you really want the experience, just don't go to Branson.
Yep.
Don't go to Branson, don't go to Lake of the Ozarks. Find spring-fed rivers
Table
and
Rock Lake.
yeah, and spring-fed lakes because
Mm-hmm.
some lakes are really pretty. I like sitting by rivers, and the ocean, I would say. And the most Missouri thing about me is when I'm around a river, I want to drink Bush. All right. I want to drink some Bush or some Budweiser heavies. But if I'm by the ocean, I don't care what kind of ocean it is. I'm drinking some sort of fruit-inspired mixed drink, and I'm gonna
mm-hmm.
drink a lot of it, and I'm gonna enjoy myself. Even if it's a public beach and there are way too many people there and I have to listen to screaming kids, I'm gonna find a way to enjoy myself because I live in a landlocked state, and it's horrible.
Now, what's funny, and Galvos will be able to tell you, I believe Missouri has the most coastline than any other state in the U.S.
I believe that,
because of
and,
all the lakes and rivers and all the stuff that's there.
yeah. Well, we got the Missouri and the Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
We got Lake of the Ozarks. And in the Iron Mountains and Ozark Mountains, and then continuing right before you get to the Smoky, it's like there's a lot of rivers and streams. The Huzzah, Jack's Fork, Merrimack. Um, got a lot of. Missouri is the land of people that build big canoes. Um, and there's no like, it's not a mystery why we got a lot of water. Um, which is why it's like, even though we're in a landlocked state, I still have a lot of fun going to natural areas and
Yeah.
swimming,
Go and do the
floating,
swimming.
kayaking,
Do you do the
canoeing, floating.
floating? I've never floated.
Ooh, on inner tubes?
Mm-hmm.
You never. I do live in Missouri. I don't mind kind of doxing myself because I'm a musician. I'm in Kansas City. So,
On the Missouri side, though.
the Missouri side. A lot of people get confused by that. Most of it's in Missouri, strangely. Uh, but I love inner tubing. Like I've done that my whole life. And so if somebody's like, "What the fuck's that?" So back in the day, and still sometimes with certain types of vehicles, tires used to have inner tubes that were very thick rubber, and that's like where the air actually was going into. Um, and a lot of people float on it just by you just sit, and maybe one person in your group ties a rope to a raft that has your coolers, and that right there is like a classic Missouri summer pastime. Um, I definitely try to do that at least once or twice a summer.
That's great. Where do you go for that? Do you? I mean, you said you don't go to the Ozarks. Do you go to natural spring lakes or?
A walking Missouri almanac. That's me. Just call me. You know who was from Missouri? Mark Twain. And, but and we go to this one river. It's called the Black River. It's in the Iron Mountains. It's not as like deep as the Merrimack or Jack's Fork or Huzzah. It's much more of a really like mellow spring-fed river, rock bottom, very clear water. A lot of people go down there to like, oh, we're gonna get canoes. I'm like, don't do that unless you're really good at canoeing. Not
Right.
because it's crazy, but because it's just difficult. Because you're gonna have like some crazy turn type situations where it's like if you're not good at it, you're gonna hate it. It's
Right.
definitely like a, I would say, kayak or inner tube type river. Um, Actually going down there next weekend. Um, just to party and like literally just
Nice.
sit in the river with chairs. There's um
That's awesome.
uh I would say that people who are in the boomer generation are much more likely to say Missouri. Um, but most people I know say Missouri.
Missouri.
I say misery,
Just
but that's
because.
just me.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, just
because.
because. No real reason. Yeah, that's like when people say Joyzy, and I just want to like punch him in the face. It's,
Fucking Jersey.
yeah, Joyzy. I'm like, you don't even know what you're talking about. Stop it.
The wildest shit though is how not in New Jersey or Missouri, but how when I met people from Lowville and I was like,
Oh,
"Wait."
yeah.
I'm like, "You don't say Louisville or Louisville? Lowville? All right. Makes sense. I get it. It's America."
Right, right. All right. So, what does gatekeeping music and games mean?
It's you gotta pronounce misery. That's the way. That's the best way.
Hmm.
Um, it's oh I get that, Jake. I mean, it's weird having a Midwest accent because a lot of people are like, a lot of Midwesterners are like, "We don't have accents." I'm like, "Motherfucker, everybody has an accent.
Right.
Every single person in the world. We just have the Midwest accent that got copied by news programs."
Yep.
It's beyond the point. But Louisville. Um
Whoa.
so ooh, Denmark. Lovely. Um it's interesting because we live in a generation of information and art where everything's accessible. But beyond that, it's like all fandoms and people who enjoy things, they're much more visible now and easier to find than they were when we were growing up because of the fucking internet and social media. And, gatekeeping, we all have experienced this. I think, for example, Panda, you've had experience a lot as a woman who likes to game. People like, are you a real gamer?
Right.
Because if you're not playing Call of Duty and yelling, make me a sandwich, you're not a real gamer.
Right.
Um, and then, music, like, you're not a real metal fan if you heard about Metallica from Stranger Things. It's like, motherfucker, you heard about Metallica because of some random kid in your high school. You know what I mean? It's like you
Right.
didn't, it's not like you were like, uh, rolling with Iron Maiden as a fucking groupie and you heard Metallica at some dive bar. It's like everybody finds out about music in however they do.
Right. And
And
whenever they
yeah,
do.
yeah, exactly. And it reminds me of like Kate Bush, right? Running up that hill, for example.
Yes.
Um, a great moment for Kate Bush because like her, her song made more money because of Stranger
Stranger
Things than it
Things.
ever did.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a silly concept of trying to keep people out of a fandom because of how they found it, because of who they are, how old they are, what sex they identify as, or gender they identify as, or it. I could go on and on. It's such a silly thing because if you're actually a fan of something, okay, so there's a psychological effect. It's the perception of exclusivity. When you're a huge fan of something, when it's not well known, it makes you feel good, and because you're like in this exclusive group, and humans love that. We love being in exclusive groups
Right.
when we're passionate about it. But then all of a sudden, that band that only you knew about, right? They get big, and everybody knows about them because of Guitar Hero, or because they got international stardom because of a show, or TikTok, or a video game, whatever. And you start getting upset because all these other people now are like the same as you, and you're like, no, you weren't there at the beginning though.
Right.
And it's another category of music that people do that a lot with is emo. Like, what is emo? And for example, right, and you could go by the very specific definitions you find, like, well, you had to be a band between 1998 and 2004, and you had to be
Right.
from these areas. And it's like, dude, just who cares? Like, who cares? I guess is kind of the thing. And it's the same with video games, right? Like, we see I think first of all, we say toxic too much, I think. But it's like in video game communities when you're trying to get into one. First of all, if you're on social media, you're seeing like a very small percentage of those gamers, right? Like, let's say you want to get into Dead by Daylight, you don't know where to start. So you start trying to find people on Twitter or Instagram, and that's how you start building your friend group. And you definitely see a lot of gatekeeping because of social media, because of the types of people that are posting on social media and
Right.
are trying to dictate what the fandom is about through social media. I don't know. I could go on and on about it. It just annoys me. And it's like, life is too short. The world's on fire. We might have fucking like the who knows what's going to happen in the next 20 years. Just let people be fans of shit. And if they like
Right.
the same stuff as you, just say, hey, welcome on in.
Yep.
Congratulations, you found it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are streamers who, when new people come in and they say hi and they're kind of awkward, but they're not rude. They're just awkward. They don't know what they're doing, and immediately they're like, "No, you're not a part of this community," and they don't let new followers come in, and it's very bizarre to me because it's counterproductive. But it's also bizarre to me that you're trying to keep this community to yourselves, and how do you get new blood if you keep that community to yourself?
Oh yeah. Oh, and Infozar. I mean, I get your point. It reminds me of something that George Carlin said, that's been going around the internet. Like, I love like meeting people person by person, right? But when any group gets big, even sometimes 5 people, or when we're talking about fandoms, when it gets to thousands or millions, um, I think we have a tendency in any sort of group setting where the most extreme voices, right? Those are the ones you see. The things that get pushed algorithm wise to you on Twitter or Instagram, Facebook, or even Reddit. It's like those are the most extreme opinions, the most extreme people, and a lot of times hate and intolerance are louder than anything,
Yep.
because they're sensational. And you see this all the time in social groups and fan groups, and it's unfortunate. And that's just it's human nature, unfortunately, especially right now when so many people just want notoriety, want exposure, want views and clicks and all that shit.
Like, comment, and
And
subscribe.
right, and it's an unfortunate thing because like I've been feeling the weight of that a lot lately in social media, especially with like these new social media platforms, everybody trying to be viral, and it's like, I don't know,
Yeah.
kind of sucks.
Yeah, for sure. And just as a heads up, Jake, I am a big LARPer. So if you had a horrible experience, I'm so sorry. On behalf of the LARP community, on behalf of Dagger Here community, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. I mean, because trying to maintain like the integrity of a group, right? I get that, especially when you're dealing with in-person interactions,
Right.
and like, but LARPing, I imagine just has to do so much with. I mean, how many different LARPing groups are there in the U.S. alone? And how it has to be quite a feat trying to navigate and find one that like you fit in with
Right.
and that you really like. Because
Hmm.
shit, it's hard online to do that too. So it's even harder in person.
Well, shit. Fenwa, you are full of fascinating information so much that we didn't have to go through Wikipedia as much as I normally do.
Oops.
No, that's great. I absolutely love listening to you talk and tell stories and tell us information that is new. I mean, it's new to me. I didn't know a lot of the stuff, and like they were saying, your Missouri Almanac, like you just know stuff. You know stuff about video games. You know stuff about music. You're a very fascinating human being, and I hope you know that
Oh,
about yourself.
thanks.
Yeah, of course. We're at the 2 hour mark, so that's typically when I end.
All
Just
right.
because of my inability to sit for long periods of time. Um, but again, I did want to say, like, I'm so happy you decided to come on here. You are an
Yeah.
absolutely awesome person. I do look up to you in your music. Like, I want the absolute best for you. Like, I'm rooting for you in every sense of. I'm in your corner.
Thank you.
So, I hope you know that. And I'm so glad that I had you on. And I hope that you had a fun time being here.
Absolutely. It was great getting to chat with you again, and hopefully we get to do it in person sometime
Yeah.
soon.
We'll look at what you well, you're going away for Halloween, but we'll look for
Yeah.
one of your performances. I'll try to be there again and support you that
Right
way.
on. Also, don't forget about Ren Fair.
Oh, yes, yes, that's right. I have to make sure to
Oh,
see what days you're going because I don't even
yeah,
care if I'm
absolutely.
not going with my friends. Well, thank you, Jake. Yeah, guys, if you're interested in this in Wiki Wednesday, we do this every Wednesday except for next week because my mother's in. But we do this every Wednesday, and we will be having Laney School Tree TV on August 2nd or 3rd, whenever that Wednesday is. And we just like to give you content and get to know streamers the way that they should be seen. So again, thank you everyone for stopping by. If Davey is on, we're gonna raid him. Otherwise, we are not gonna raid anyone because it's always awkward raiding after these
I
things and going from like Wiki Wednesday to like super gamer
feel that.
person. Let's see. Yes, Davey is on. He's doing golf with your friends, but we still respect Davey and wanna send him a low. Davey's eating a sandwich will be on in September.
Oh, nice. Davey's such a nice guy.
He really is, and he's got his Namad in there right now, and I want to bring some people his way. So we're gonna raid Davey.
Absolutely.
Here is the raid call. I actually made one. I know. So
Whoa.
I know this is a big deal. This is very recent. So copy the raid call, and thank you again to everyone who's here. Um, and I can't copy my own raid call because it keeps wanting me to pin the message. I know there's a raid call. It's a big deal.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I know, pro streamer over here. All right, I'm just going to do
Pro
this.
SRAM.
All right, guys, thank you so much and have a good one. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.